one of the most visible of our sports programs, we take seriously the job of finding exactly the right role model and leader for our program. We have found that person in Dave Clawson.
Certainly an exciting day for BGSU as a whole, and certainly specifically the football program. Before I say a couple of words, I do want to thank a few people. I'll start with Dr. Cartwright and Dr. Whipple for their support through this process and their counsel and their role in helping select Dave Clawson as our head coach. A couple of other notes. I certainly want to publicly welcome the Clawson family to Bowling Green. Dave's going to get a lot of attention over the next few months, but Catherine, Eric, Courtney, we're thrilled to have you as part of the Falcon family, and certainly know that there's a family here to support you as you make this transition. So again, welcome, and we're glad to have you in Bowling Green. I want to acknowledge the players. There's some here scattered around the room. I just told them this about half an hour ago, but this has been crazy for them over 2 weeks. There's no doubt about that. A lot of emotions, but I have been impressed as I met with them over the last 2 weeks, either individually or as small groups, or even collectively as a team, with their resolve, their determination, and the positive attitude that they have brought to this entire process and the transition. There is no doubt in my mind that this team is ready to move forward and ready to take this team to the next level. And I said this again, I'll say it here publicly. Gentlemen, this is your team. Okay? This is your team. You're going to win football games next year with this group of players, the people that are in this room. And again, appreciate how they have handled it. I'd like to tip my cap in a way to the program's history. There's about 1,000 former players that wore the orange and brown over time, 16 former head coaches. And that group, there's a few scattered through this room. They deserve a hand in this a little bit, in a way, because even though they may not have been directly involved, it was clear in all the phone calls I made, the phone calls, the meetings, the interactions I had with people, that the foundation that was laid by those players over the decades was pretty impressive. The brand name Bowling Green football resonated across the country, and that doesn't happen if you don't have a lot of blood, sweat, and tears with those former players over the years. And again, certainly appreciate that. Ultimately, I guess they say timing is everything, and this where we are today really started 1 year and 5 days ago. I happened to be at home watching TV, flipping through, and came across the 1AA semifinal game, Richmond against Appalachian State, and ended up watching about half that game. And between what the commentators were saying and what was going on in the field, I was impressed with what I saw with Dave Clawson, and made a mental note, physical note, printed off the bio, looked into the background a little bit, and put it into the file that we all keep for different times. Now you fast forward, and that file became pertinent 2 weeks ago. And so you pull out the file and you throw in some really strong recommendations that were coming forward, and you end up with the conversation starting. So about 10 days ago, Dave and I met. We met halfway in Cincinnati, had about a 3-hour lunch, and it was very clear that our philosophies of running a college football program were very similar and certainly on track. What set Dave apart from just a terrific group of candidates that we talked to, not as much, certainly the X's and O's play a part of it, and I think the X's and O's speak for themselves, but it came back to how he runs a total program. That was probably what set it apart, and the success he's had as a head coach.
First off by saying it's great to be a Bowling Green Falcon and coaching in the greatest football state in the country, the state of Ohio. Truly humbled and honored to have the opportunity to coach at such a great institution with such a rich football tradition, to follow in the footsteps of great coaches like Doit Perry, Don Nealon, and even more recently Urban Meyer. There's so many people to thank in this process, and I certainly want to begin by thanking President Cartwright and Dr. Whipple. It became very obvious in our discussions in my interview here that our vision for what a football program should be and how it should fit into a university and the responsibilities that we have, we were very much in agreement. And you know, she has very, very strong opinions on plays that we're going to run 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. And we'll be very clear to point out where the president's box is during games. So if the play worked, it's mine. If you don't like the call, we know where she's sitting. I also want to thank Greg Christopher, the athletic director, for the professionalism in which he ran the search. You know, college football coaches and searches can get very public and very gossipy, and I'll be honest with you, I wasn't sure I was a serious candidate for this job until about 12 hours ago. So he really kept his cards close to the vest, but it also became evident as our conversations continued that, you know, Greg's a guy I'm very comfortable getting in the foxhole with, and you know, the relationship between the athletic director and the football coach, it has to be strong for a program to be successful, and I really look forward to working with Greg and developing that relationship. I also want to thank Scott Seeliger, that all during our time here he was shuttling around, and certainly his football background and his passion of Bowling Green came through, and he was very informative and very helpful, and I think, again, that's going to be the start of another great friendship, and I appreciate all the help that you've given me, and I know that you're going to continue to give. Certainly the people I have to thank the most are sitting right in front of me. You know, just the love of my life, and my best friend is my wife. And, you know, I've put her through a lot the last 10 months, and she has been unbelievable. And I just love you to death, and thank you for everything. My daughter Courtney. Families of coaches give up a lot, and you know, at times as a coach you teach teamwork and family, and at times you do things like this and you feel selfish with what you're doing. And I'm fortunate to have a family that lets me pursue my dreams, and Courtney gave up a birthday party today to be here, and we gave her the option. She had a big day at school and said that if she wanted to do that, she could do that, and she said, "No, Daddy, I want to be with you up at Bowling Green, and I love you too, sweetie." And my son Eric, I'm so proud of him, and looks good, and he's playing with his toy and chewing his gums. Just when the position opened, it was really a job I hoped I could get involved with. You know, I had an opportunity to get involved and interview and talk to other places about being their head coach. I had an opportunity to go somewhere else and be a BCS coordinator again. And this was really the job that I wanted. And I told Greg from the very beginning, he asked me, "Do you have other things going?" And I said, "Yes. But for what it's worth, this is the one I want." And the reason I wanted it is I think this is a great university, that there's an opportunity to run a football program with integrity, to recruit true student athletes and see them be successful not only on the field, but achieve their degree from a great university. It's a very, very competitive conference. Certainly the profile of the MAC conference has only grown in credibility and exposure. With the ESPN deal and the bowl tie-ins, it's a great football conference. It's respected all across the country. It's extremely well coached. I know that this is going to be a challenge week in, week out, and we're certainly looking forward to that challenge. Certainly the opportunity to coach in the state of Ohio. I've been fortunate throughout my career to be able to recruit Cleveland, Youngstown. At Tennessee, I was responsible for recruiting Cincinnati. And the one thing that stands out about the state of Ohio is there are great, great football coaches in this state that have a tremendous passion for football. They're extremely knowledgeable. And certainly Ohio is known to produce some of the very best players and toughest football players in the country. And it's certainly one of our primary jobs and a priority for us as a staff is we have to do a great job recruiting the state of Ohio. We've got to get into the high schools and go on existing relationships. I have to make sure that when I hire my staff and when it's complete, there's going to be strong ties to the state of Ohio and to the Midwest. And we've got to recruit players, and when they come to Bowling Green, they have to leave here with an experience that they're going back to their hometowns and their high school coaches and say, "That was the best 4 to 5 years of my life."